Hey everyone, welcome back to Vlogmas video number 2. It is Sunday, December 8th. Having a little relaxation time at home and kind of reflecting a little bit about how the season is going, realizing that this season is always busy, so there's always something going on. And of course, being the end of the year, winter time in Chicago, December, you get sick. I had a flu bug this week and everything else. So some good news with work is that we hired a new person. So hopefully I have a little bit more flexibility as this person gets trained to be able to keep work at work and maybe have a little bit more time to do content at home this coming year, if you will. But basically, I've been doing the job of 2 people essentially for like a whole year or so since last January. So I'm excited to kind of finally put that behind me and move forward. And that kind of really made me think a little bit about what is really on my wish list for this coming year, or for Christmas, right? For the holidays, whatever you celebrate. For me, it's Christmas. And this is always usually generally a time of giving and receiving. It's always known to be a time of giving and receiving, but it's also sort of a time where I feel that consumerism is at its greatest. I know for me, growing up as a child of the 80s and 90s, gifts were all the rage. KB Toys, Toys R Us, whatever that is, the holiday books. You maybe remember the Sears holiday catalog, right? It was always a time for buying and getting really cool gifts. But as I get older and as I sort of mature into a full adult, I guess, I don't know, maybe that's not the right word, but as I mature, I realize that gifts are obviously things that bring joy, and I love giving and receiving gifts. But at the same time, to extract that piece of joy out of it, I think is really where, or maybe even go farther, whatever you want to call joy. Maybe joy is like that dopamine hit or that feeling of happiness you get when you give and receive a gift, is sort of a feeling that transcends just gift giving, right? It's something that as the holiday times, I think we do seek more joy opportunities. And as a person who has struggled with weight loss my entire life, I think we also use this time of the holidays to seek joy in multiple things, whether that's getting or receiving gifts, but also eating and other pleasure activities that come with the holidays, i.e. cookies and baking and other, parties, alcohol, things that you sort of enjoy. And you kind of have that attitude of like, oh, hey, it's the holidays, whatever, it's one time a year. But is it one time a year? That's always the question, for me. And something that I always use as sort of an excuse to maybe overindulge or go a step beyond just enjoying one bite or two and then kind of going further in and actually overdoing it, right? And using the holidays as sort of that excuse. So I really want to talk about like what's on my Christmas wish list this year. And it, of course, may not be the wish list items that you may think of as a consumerism basic society, right? These are wish list items that I have for myself and maybe even the world, right? But ultimately, I want to live my life and live my goals and maximize my bariatric surgery. So let's dive into what is on my wish list this year. Item number 1, this is probably a given, but continued growth and continued health. I know a big thing for me is, the number one thing for me this year is really keeping and progressing on my health journey and sort of really trying to push my body to new limits, whether that is through maintaining my weight or getting to my lowest weight ever, or pushing myself with working out, muscle, flexibility, things that like I was never thinking about when I was at my high weight. Like obviously today, balance is something that I'm really trying to work on, which is not anything I would have ever thought of when I was at my high weight, right? So really working and pushing myself to new levels and enjoying my body for what it is and what it's worth versus just being a vehicle for food and calories and that kind of thing, right? So to me, that is really my number one priority. And I hope we can maintain that priority with you on this channel. I hope your health and your physical well-being and your mental well-being are priorities for you in the new year. And if they are, please like and subscribe to this channel, because we're going to be talking about this a lot in the next 12 months, right? So be sure to be a part of this conversation and even comment on this video if you agree with me that your number one wish list this year for the holidays should be your health. Because ultimately, if you have your health, you have everything, right? Thanks to Gail for posting that on the last video. So number 2 is staying focused and making a more mindful connections with what goes into my body and what goes out. if you will, right? How I perform and how I act. Not out as in, out, but out is in terms of how I interact with people, places, and experiences. And I think that when you're more mindful about what goes into your body, whether that's through liquids, through food, through what you consume on TV, whether that's TikToks or old school TV, whatever, I think how you consume, whether that's visually or mentally or physically, is ultimately what you put out into the world. And I kind of want to be more mindful about the in outs of my life and those experiences. So the additional things on my wish list here are having stronger connections with my friends, my family, and of course just people online, people in this community. To me, one thing that I feel that brings the most joy to me is not necessarily the gifts you get from people, but the experiences and the times that you get to spend with them. And to me, that is more precious than anything. And really, if I could list out a list of things that bring me joy, probably people and connection is number one. And it's free. You don't have to spend a dime on it for the most part, right? Unless you actually are in the physical activity of gift giving. But spending time with people, whether it's your significant other, your best friend, or even people you don't know, people that you work with or people that you met this day, right? These are connections that you create that ultimately probably bring you more joy than anything that you have ever purchased in your life. I know for me, I love fantasizing about the next camera, the next drone, the next microphone I can buy, whatever. And the truth is, that stuff brings you temporary joy. And I have a really good experience or example of that. I remember I really wanted to buy a drone. I was fantasizing about buying a drone for years, and I finally bought one. I've got it, and honestly, I use it twice a year, and I'm really thinking about selling it. I don't really even use it that much, right? So, but what I do use is the connections and people that are within my life and that support network of people that I have met through everything, through people I've known since I was in preschool to people who I've just recently met online through this community. So those experiences are what matter, and those really don't cost a penny to create. I think number 3 on my wish list is balance. And as I mentioned before, I'm working on my physical balance, being able to stabilize myself on a stability ball better, but also balance in my life, whether that's work, whether that's creating content, whether that's relationships, but really finding balance in working on what's most important to me. So when I look at the end of the quarter or end of this holiday season, I have met the goals that I have for myself, because that is another thing that brings me joy that generally does not cost a penny to do, right? For example, I have physical goals, physical working out goals, and I have content goals. I want to create at least 4 or 5 videos this holiday season and post it here on this channel. And I know that if I don't do these things, I'm going to look back and be upset. And then if I'm upset, that's going to put my mindset in the wrong place, where I may overindulge in food, or I may try to sort of itch that upsetness with things that are not healthy for me, or worse, put myself into a sort of a mental trajectory that is not a place I want to be in. So if I achieve those goals though, and I show progress and gains, i.e. uploading videos or seeing gains in my muscle, or maybe even gains on gains is really mean loss, but loss on the scale, right? Then I know I'm doing the right thing and I'm working towards my ultimate goal, right? So finding balance in saying no to things that don't make sense and saying yes to things that do make sense is definitely number 3 on my wish list this year. But I really want you to sort of sit and reflect on what are your goals and what brings you joy, because at the end of the day, I bet you there are 3 or 4 things at the top of your list that do not require any money, any real significant investment, but could bring you a ton of joy in this year. And that could be as simple as going for a walk, right? Or being out in nature, or writing down a journal, or doing something that is not necessarily related to even interacting with other humans. It could be just something for you. It could be making coffee at home versus going out and buying coffee, right? It could be creating a meal plan, or it could be learning how to cook in a way that is more healthy and more in line with your skills versus going out and getting fast food, or going out and finding pleasure at Chipotle. You could make the same stuff at home for way less, and then actually be able to fine tune it in a way that is perfect for you. So there are tons of ways that you can bring joy into your life this holiday season that is not gift giving, but it will ultimately provide way better long-term results for you, regardless of how that is not gift giving, but will ultimately bring you more joy all year long. and most importantly, make your holiday meaningful for you and for the people that you love. So thanks for watching. I really encourage you to share your wish list in the comments this year. Tell me what is on your biggest thing, and if it's gifts, hey, I love gifts too. That's definitely a great way to bring joy. I know another thing too, don't forget charities. Like giving it to charities is obviously something that is thought about more of this time of year. It's the end of the year. Maybe you need to make a donation for IRS purposes, or maybe you are part of, like, in the office, we have a gift drive for the Comer Children's Center. So obviously, gift giving doesn't necessarily have to be gift giving to each other, but it could be to someone who is in need. So take time to, go out there and do good for the world, because that positivity will come back to you twofold for sure. I know for me, I'm going to try to participate in volunteering and giving some gifts this holiday season to people in need, because ultimately I think that's really a better way to spend my money than trying to buy things for myself that ultimately will get thrown away or resold in the future for less than what I paid for it, right? So these are all great things I hope you can use to take to the bank. Have a great holiday season. This is video number 2 of many, so please like and subscribe and leave a comment if you'd like to hear something specific about my journey. If not, here's links to my weight loss journey right here, and I'll see you in the next video.